Imagine that right now, at this very moment, you are inside a cage. But this is not an ordinary cage. You cannot see its walls. You cannot touch them. And yet, it surrounds you from every side, every second, with every breath you take. The name of this cage is the third dimension. Yes, we live in a world made up of length, width, and height. Everything we see and touch is confined within these three dimensions. Our entire lives unfold within these boundaries. But the real question is this: is there another reality beyond these limits? Right now, just a few centimeters away from you, could there exist a completely different dimension? A dimension where time does not function the way we know it, where the past, present, and future are not separate. They all exist together. And in that place, you can see the outcome of every possible choice in your life at the same time. This is the fifth dimension. Now we will try to understand this. What would happen if a human being entered the fifth dimension? And another question follows: are we truly ready for it? Because perhaps not knowing certain truths is actually a good thing. But human curiosity has no limits, and that is why we will attempt to explore it. Just like the video and subscribe to the channel, and let's continue with the topic. Let's begin with the most fundamental question. What is a dimension? Simply put, a dimension is a direction in which we can move. The first dimension is the simplest form. Imagine that you are on a straight line. There are only two directions, left and right. You cannot go anywhere else. That is one dimension. In the second dimension, the situation changes slightly. Now there is also up and down. Instead of a straight line, we have a surface. Think of it like a sheet of paper. On that surface, you can move in any direction, but there is still no depth. The third dimension adds depth, forward and backward. And this is the world we live in. You, me, the room you're sitting in, cities, mountains, planets, all exist in three dimensions. We can see the height, width, and depth of objects. But here's an interesting detail. We don't actually live in only three dimensions. There is another dimension that we cannot see, yet we are inside it at every moment. We are talking about time. Yes, time is the fourth dimension. You don't just move through space, you also move through time. With every second, you grow a little older. With every minute, you move further into the future. Your life continues like a line. But there is a limitation here. You can move through time in only one direction, forward. You cannot return to the past. You cannot relive yesterday. You cannot undo a decision you have already made. It's like driving on a highway that goes only one way. You cannot stop. You cannot turn back. We flow through time, and most of the time we're not even aware of it. And this is exactly where the concept of the fifth dimension begins to emerge. According to some physicists' theories, the fifth dimension adds alternative paths to time. Imagine that your life is a long road. From the moment you were born until today, you have been moving along that road. Every point on it is a memory. Your first step, your first word, your first day at school, your first success, your first regret. And the road continues without stopping. But here is the crucial detail. Every single day, you make choices, even when you're not aware of it. What should I wear today? Should I answer this call or ignore it? Should I stay in this city or move somewhere else? Should I begin a relationship with this person or walk away? In the world we experience, the moment you make a choice, the other options seem to disappear. You choose one path and the rest close off. It's as if you were standing at a crossroads, and once you pick one direction, the others are erased. But according to the concept of the fifth dimension, no choice truly disappears. Every possible option creates its own reality. You choose one path, but the path you didn't choose continues in another reality. You simply don't experience it. Let's understand it this way. Imagine that the trunk of a tree is the moment you were born. As the tree grows, branches begin to form. Each branch represents a choice: changing schools, choosing a career, moving to another city, making a different decision. Then each branch splits into two again, and then again, and again. In the end, an infinite number of branches emerge. In the third and fourth dimensions, we move along only one branch, the line we have chosen. But in the fifth dimension, all the branches of that tree exist at the same time. And if you could look into the fifth dimension, you wouldn't see just one version of your life. You would see all possible versions of it simultaneously. Now the real question is, could a human mind endure that? Let's explore what would happen if you entered the fifth dimension. In the first few moments, you might not feel anything at all. Your brain isn't built for this kind of reality. Your eyes are accustomed to seeing in 3 dimensions, your ears to hearing a 3-dimensional world. But then, something begins to change. Time will first seem to slow down. Seconds feel stretched. Then you will realize that time isn't flowing. It simply exists. The past is not separate. The future is not far away. The present is not singular. Everything converges at a single point. Your childhood, today, your old age, even the decisions you haven't made yet, all exist simultaneously. Then you will begin to see, but this time, not with your eyes. You will see yourself and countless versions of yourself. In one, you made a different choice this morning. In another, you chose a different career. In another, you built a family with someone else. And in yet another, you live a completely different life in a different country. There is even a version in which you were never born. And the most overwhelming part is this: all of it is real. All of it exists equally. None of it is a dream. Imagine seeing all your possible lives at once. Every consequence of every decision you've ever made is right before you. Imagine you were supposed to go to a job. In one version, you went. You succeeded. You became wealthy. In another, you didn't go, but you found inner peace and you were happy with the person you love. In yet another, something completely different happened and your life took an entirely different direction. And this process never stops. As I mentioned earlier, every choice creates a new branch. Every branch opens up new worlds, and you see them all at once. But here lies a problem. The human brain is designed to carry only one life. It has a single identity and always thinks in terms of one self. So what happens if you see millions of yous at the same time? Which one is the real you? Which life is true? If all versions exist, does making a choice even matter? Your sense of reality begins to crumble. Your identity becomes fragmented because you no longer have just one story. You are not a single person. You are a collection of possibilities. And perhaps the most terrifying aspect of the fifth dimension is this: there, freedom is infinite, but stability does not exist. But do you know what the real problem is? Your brain isn't built for this. Imagine your brain is like a television. A normal TV can only show one channel at a time. You watch a movie, hear one sound, understand one story. Now imagine someone connects millions of channels to that TV all at once. They all turn on at the same time. Different sounds, different images, different stories. You can't focus on any single one completely. And what happens then? Chaos ensues. Entering the fifth dimension would be similar for your consciousness. Millions of memories would flow into your mind simultaneously. Millions of emotions would intertwine. Joy, regret, fear, pride, all layered on top of each other, and you wouldn't be able to distinguish anything anymore. Is that vision really a moment you are living, or is it a memory from another version of you? Did you have that conversation, or did it happen in a different reality? The boundaries begin to dissolve. Your sense of identity slowly disintegrates, because when we say I, We are referring to a single lifeline, a single past, a single story. But what if there are millions of stories? Which one is the real you? The version that became a successful business person? The version that pursued art? The version living in another country? The version making completely different choices? The answer is paradoxical. All of them are you, and at the same time, none of them is entirely you. Because in the fifth dimension, the concept of I fractures. There is no single identity there. All possible versions of you exist together. There is no longer an individual self, only a collection of probabilities. And human consciousness is built on stability. We need a name, a history, a continuity. If that continuity is broken, the mind loses its anchor. Perhaps this is the most dangerous aspect of the fifth dimension: infinite information, infinite identities, infinite realities, and most importantly, the human brain was not made for infinity. But the even heavier part begins now. In the fifth dimension, you don't just see your past in alternative versions of yourself, you see all possible futures as well. Not a single future, all of them. You witness how your life could unfold, which decisions lead you where, and how each path ends, all at once. And yes, your death too. How you will die. When, under what circumstances. In one version, you live a long and peaceful life. In another, your life is shorter. In yet another, you face a completely different ending. And knowing all of this in advance, perhaps that is the heaviest burden a human can bear. Because we live life precisely because it is uncertain. There is excitement because we don't know what tomorrow will bring. There is hope, there is fear, there are plans. But what if you knew everything in advance? What if you could already see where a decision you make tomorrow will lead you 10 years from now? Imagine this. You know that if you take this job, 10 years from now you will be happy. But at the same time, you see that if you take another job, you would be even happier. A third option offers you a completely different but deeper life, and you see all the outcomes at once. At that point, what does choice even mean? Choice is built on not knowing, on risk, on hope. When we make a decision, we cannot see the future. That is why there is responsibility and excitement. But in the fifth dimension, all paths are already open. All outcomes already exist. You simply observe them. Making a choice becomes a game, because whatever path you pick, the others do not disappear, they remain. In such a case, the concept of will weakens. As humans, we are shaped by our choices. Our decisions make us who we are. Our regrets, our risks, our courage, all of it is tied to choice. But if all choices are already made, if all versions exist in parallel, then who are you? Just an observer, not the actor, but the watcher. And perhaps the most dangerous part is this: meaning begins to vanish, because meaning is born from uncertainty, from the search, from struggle. If everything is already known, if every outcome already exists, then what does it even mean to live? Now, a question arises. Can you go back? Physically, maybe yes, but mentally? Imagine that for a single moment you have experienced unrestricted consciousness. You have seen everything. You know every possibility. Then you return to the three-dimensional world. It is like falling into a hole, because you now know that the reality you see is just one choice, one out of millions of possibilities, and the others exist there too, just a few millimeters away. Everywhere you look, you will think of the versions you cannot see. With every choice you make, you will know the alternative outcomes, and eventually you will go mad. Or perhaps you already are mad, because after seeing the fifth dimension, living in 3 dimensions is the greatest torment. Perhaps we are not doomed to remain in 3 dimensions. Perhaps it is not a punishment. Perhaps it is protection. because human consciousness can only carry so much. Beyond that is chaos. Some truths, knowing them does not bring freedom, it brings weight. Some knowledge, not knowing it, is not weakness, it is, in a sense, a gift. We do not see everything. We do not know everything, and perhaps that is why we can remain sane. The fifth dimension may indeed exist, perhaps right now, just a few centimeters from your hand. Different realities exist, different yous, different life paths, but we cannot see them, and perhaps that is a good thing, because we have been given one life, one path, one story, and to live it, we do not need to know everything at once. If this video made you think, don't forget to like and subscribe. In the next video, I will bring an even deeper and even more shocking topic. And always remember, perhaps the things you do not know are protecting you. Until we meet again.